Okay, here we are. I think. Oh my. Just checking. Just checking. Okay, looks like it's all working. Okay, looks like it's all working. So, uh, like the title says, it's talking about E flat tuning in E flat to play live. But before I get to that, I want to bring up this thing about COPPA or COPPA, Child Online Privacy Protection Act. Just go into the YouTube studio, go to the settings, advanced settings, set your whole channel for either you are kid friendly or you're not. I set mine so that I am not a kids channel. I never have been. I mean, I think kids are as interested in music as anybody else, but my demographic and my audience don't reflect that. So that's not really an issue for me or anything that I really think I need to worry about. So I just set my channel for not a kids channel. And hopefully after that, I don't have to worry about it. Everybody's making all these videos. Every time YouTube changes something, everybody goes crazy. It's always going to change. It's going to change all the time. It's going to keep changing. Who knows where it's going? Nobody knows. Have no clue where it's going to go. So there's nothing you can do about it. The way I see it, the channels that are for kids, they're going to get a whole lot of restrictions and stuff. So, it might make a difference to them, but to the average YouTuber, especially that's in like the guitar community or whatever, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I really don't. So enough about that. Okay, E flat tuning. I have always tuned in E standard. There was a time back in the day, occasionally, when I did some songs where I was playing a bunch of slide, that I tuned in open G or open D. And occasionally we'll get into these open tunings. And it's usually for playing slide guitar. But since we added another guitar player, and I'm doing almost all the lead singing for 3 or 4 hours a night can be taxing. It can be hard to do. And the other thing is, if you're tuned in standard and you have a voice like mine, which is basically, a bass, baritone, I don't know, low, it limits your range of songs, because when I hear a song, most of the time I like to do the song in the key that I heard it recorded in. And I don't like to transpose them too far. Now sometimes it's not a big deal if you do a song, say, in A, or you move it up to C or something like that, especially if it's just like a 1-4-5, a 3-chord rock song, or you can do a 12-bar blues. You just pick your key. Okay, but there are other songs and rock songs that the key that the song was written and recorded in is really important to the way you play the guitar, the way the guitar is actually played on the song. So if if you transpose it too far, you can take away the technique or the feel or the way that the song was played. Now, at our last rehearsal, I brought up the idea of tuning down a half step to E flat to help everybody vocally. And they were like, Jerry and Linda were both, yeah, sure, go ahead, let's do it. So we tuned down to E flat. And we went through a couple songs, and believe it or not, it throws you off. If you're used to singing in standard tuning, it throws you off a little bit. But we tuned down a half a step, and we went through a couple songs, and it was like, yeah, that was cool. But here's the thing. I switched about a year ago, or maybe longer, from using 10 to 46 gauge strings to 9 to 42. And on a Strat, when you're using 9s and you tune down to E flat, those strings just wobble, and they wobble. Now, we played last night, and I didn't do anything about it. I left the 9s on it, and Jerry's the same thing. He's using 9s. Linda's not using light gauge bass strings, I don't think. But I don't think to her it was as much of an issue, but she did notice the change in the way the guitar played, tuning down to E flat. My strings, they were like rubber bands, man. They were just like rubber bands, and especially the E string. Hey, Dave Byron, thanks, man. That's the Harley Benton Strat that Eric C. sent me 3 or 4 years ago. I've had it quite a while. I've had it at least 3 years. And I started playing that guitar a lot at rehearsals and, taking it to gigs too. And because we had tuned down to E flat at rehearsal on Tuesday, I decided to just take that guitar and didn't take my regular Fender Strat that I almost always play. I took that guitar, and I didn't do anything about it. I didn't change the strings. And hey, DB, halfway between E and E flat tuning is magical A4. Yeah, I know. I've heard about that. Halfway. Now, the thing is, though, our tuners all calibrate where you can calibrate it to flat or double flat. In mine, I just hit the button to go flat, and it'll register as an E, but it'll be an E flat. You can keep the tuner in chromatic mode and just say, mine will read as D sharp and G sharp for A, like that, as opposed to showing you E flat and A flat and D. It'll show you those. And I hope you. No. Oh, that was a comment on my video. Maybe he'll come in. But so we just hit the buttons on our tuners, and you act like you're tuning regular. You're tuning E, A, D, G, B, E, but it's actually a half step down on the tuner. And that low E string, man, when you've got 9s on a Stratocaster, that low E string, it doesn't want to hold. It doesn't really even want to easily get into tune, especially with a floating bridge. And I was fighting that a little bit, And the other thing is, like I said, if you're using 9s and you tune to E flat and you go to bend, man, you overshoot like right away. You overbend, and your fingers making a chord, you'll detune the guitar a little bit. So, I mean, I know what the obvious answer is to bump up to 10s. right? But what what do you guys do any of you guys? I know other bands. I know several other bands, local bands that all tune in E flat, and they do it for the singer. They do it for the vocalist because they'll have like one guy doing almost all the singing all night, and it just makes his life easier. Ed, do you think some of these tuners are slightly off? They could be. The tuner that Linda uses and the tuner that I use, I've never noticed an issue. And I can tune her bass on my tuner, then throw it on her tuner, and it's right on. So if you found two tuners that are on with each other, you know, that aren't fighting each other too much, no, it's okay. I've never really run into a big problem with that. But I have found had a few clip-on tuners that registered different. And the built-in tuner on that Taylor, I think it might register a little bit different than if I plugged it in. And I mean, it's cents. It's a matter of cents. It's not like a quarter step or a half step or anything like that. It's a matter of a few cents that probably your ear, until it got too far, you know, the human ear wouldn't really notice it. But the tuners that Linda and I use, they're right on. They're usually right on. Tune to D. I used to always tune my acoustic down a full step because of the songs that I was singing. It made it easier. But then when I got to where I was jamming with other people, they wouldn't know what the hell I was playing. You know, I'd play an E chord and they'd go, what? And they'd figure out, oh, it's D. And that just, you know, it didn't make sense. So I have always basically just tuned in standard tuning. But I think we're going to stick with this for a while. I'm going to have to put some tens on something. I don't use clip-on tuners. I don't like clip-on tuners. Live on stage when I'm playing, I want a tuner that mutes everything, that closes everything off. Now, people that play 12-string, they tune down to E flat or D and use a capo, and capo on the first or second fret, and then just play normal, and they're in E. You know, their fret markers will be a little bit different, and that's just to save, from what I understand, tension on the guitar on a 12-string. Yeah, capo to play with others, right? Exactly. That's a good point. That's a real good point. And if you know, say we had somebody, we're all two chords. I don't know about Linda, capo in the bass. She'd feel a little bit funny about that. That's what I use, Vince, is slinkies. I don't mind slinkies at all. I use Ernie balls. But I'll use Ernie Ball, D'Addario. I'll use Dunlop. I'll use like whatever that I get the best price on when I'm ordering strings from either Sweetwater or Musician's Friend or wherever at the time. Whatever's got the best deal. I'm not that funny. I'll even use GHS boomers or you know, Fender strings. What it doesn't really much matter. I don't have a preference on that. And Jerry, the other guitar player, he said that 9.5. And I'm just thinking, need to go back up to 10. You know, because if you got 10s on a Strat on a long scale, that's what I was always used to. And then I just felt that I was working too hard, and I went to 9s. Really, really liked it, because 9s on a Strat feel like 10s on a short scale, like 10s on a Les Paul. But when we tune down those 9s a half step, man, they're just bendy, slinky, wobbly, warpy. And I'm thinking, you know, 9.5, I might order a set of 9.5s and try that. But I'm guessing tens. Tens are going to do it. And then you tune down a half step and they're going to feel like nines. And they won't be so unstable. Because the nines tuned down a half step, to me, just really seems unstable. And, I know like Stevie Ray Vaughan had like really, really heavy strings and he tuned down a half step. And I know other guys that tuned down a half step, but I don't know what they use. I'm guessing they use tens, maybe even 11s. Wannabe, I've used hybrids too. They would go from 9 to 46. So they were heavier on the bass side and lighter on the treble side on the bottom or the top, whatever. But the video that I just posted of us playing last night, we were tuned in E flat. And it made singing easier, but I was struggling a little bit with my guitar. I was struggling. It didn't feel stable. The whammy bar was just like a rubber band. It was just blah, 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 blah. It just, man, when I hit the whammy bar, it just wobbled all over. Now, I think I got 5 springs behind that one on that Harley Benton. I'm not sure. My Strat's got 5. I like a tight, stiff trem. I like a stiff tremolo. And because I don't dive bomb, very often. I might occasionally for a ha-ha, but it's not something that is part of my playing normally, the style of music that we're doing. It's more of a tremolo effect or to just detune a note or even bring a note up a little bit. I like to have my tremolo float. It's not decked so that I can raise it also. I'm not good enough to need more than tens. Well, tens were my go-to for years and years and years and years and years. And then, arthritis and talking to other people and just trying nines. I decided I like nines on a Strat. And I still put tens on a Les Paul because they feel like nines when they're like nines on a Strat. So, but Rockin' Dave, I used to use 11s in standard tuning on my Les Paul. I like it a lot because of my strong picking hand. Yeah, right. You've got a hell of a right hand. Had to go back to 10s because of the tension on the neck. See? And that I took one of my Telecasters one time. As a matter of fact, oh, you can't see it. Oh, yeah, you can. That white one over there. That white, Olympic white Telecaster. Yes, the scale length makes a big difference, DB. I put 11 to like 52 on that. And I played it that way for about a year. And I got used to it, but in literally my fingertips got like rocks. They got these huge calluses, rock hard. They got rock hard and they stayed that way. And I think it was time for a string change. All I had were 10s. I threw a set of 10s on it and went back down to 10s and then ended up eventually on a Telecaster even putting 9s on the Tele. The longer the string length, DB, I mean, think about it. It makes sense. The longer the string length, the less tension it takes to bring it up to pitch. So on a Les Paul, if you put 9s on a Les Paul and stand in that standard tuning, you kind of get that, what I'm talking about, that 9s on a Stratocaster tuned down to E flat, that they're unstable. They're too wobbly. Your E string just sounds awful. It's too wobbly. There's not enough tension. What The Ibanez, that's kind of like a Fender scale length, right? Longer scale length than the Gibson. But I found out that on my Les Paul, the 9s are just a little bit too light, and I like 10s. I like 10s better. Now, the only problem with Les Paul is stand up with a heavy Les Paul for 3 or 4 hours. You know, when you've been had a guitar strapped on your shoulder for as many years as some of us have, it's just too heavy. It's just too heavy. If I'm sitting down, I love playing it. I mean, I love playing it standing up too, but by the end of the night, my shoulder's shot. It physically hurts. There's pain in my shoulder, and my arm and neck gets stiff. And then I got to drive home like this, you know. But now that Harley Benton, I don't think that weighs any more than my normal Strat does, and it yeah, longer scale length, okay. I don't notice a difference really between the weight in those two guitars, but I actually think the Harley Benton's a thicker body. Maybe not. It might be in my imagination. I haven't really checked it or measured it. Strap button to the back of my guitar. You mean off of the where it's at on the, like you're talking about going from here to here. Well, that's the way an SG is, right? The SG is that way. That's a good point. That's a good point. I wonder if you could even do that on a Strat. That's a really good point. I might risk drilling the hole just because of that. Screw it. Who cares if you put a hole in your guitar? It's not that big a deal, right? You're going to stick a toothpick in there with some glue or not and just leave it. That's a very interesting point right there. Moving the strap button to the back of the horn. That is a really interesting idea. I might have to try that. I might do that in a video. See if I can drill a hole all the way through my guitar. I'm sure I could. But, you know, we played that way last night. Singing seemed easier. I'll tell you what, though, not being used to it, everybody was struggling with harmony a little bit because that first note out of my mouth on the first song, and I was like, whoa, that's not where it normally is. And I automatically had to adjust, you know. And then once I got adjusted, it was okay. And then some songs you hardly notice. But we do that song by Glorious Sons, Sawed Off Shotgun, and I'll have to get that live. The world of difference playing it in E flat and singing it, just a world of difference. And this is going to make a big difference on the singing aspect of it. DB, I'm building a telly. I think I will put the strap button on the back just for the heck of it. Yeah, I'm going to try that. Rockin' Dave Byron, if you screw a small hole to move the strap pin, I don't think it's going to change the tone. Yeah, right. No. And on a guitar that's as beat up as my Strat, it's not going to hurt the finish much either. Of course, the body on that guitar has a nice polyurethane, I'm sure, finish. It's pretty damn, yeah, you've chambered it now, right, Vince? Has a pretty damn durable finish. There's a few places where it's been banged and it like crinkles, it crumples. You see a dent with a crack, but nothing rubbed off. But the size of the screw for a strap button, if you put that in the back of the horn of your Stratocaster, I really don't think, if it's your working guitar, that it's that big of a sacrifice, even if it doesn't work out. If it does work out, then it's great. You know, but if it doesn't work out, it's not that big a deal. And I might just leave leave two strap buttons. Leave the one on and leave the one on the back of the horn. You got two options, which might be kind of silly. But hey, Mitch, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing okay. I hope you're doing well. But fortunately, I've got lots of sets of 10s that I can take a Stratocaster and string up 10s on it, and then we'll play an E flat for a while and see how that all goes down. I used to think, like, Stevie Ray Vaughan records. I'd buy Stevie Ray Vaughan records, and everything would be in these stupid keys like B flat, F sharp. And then, we didn't have YouTube yet. And I would tune the guitar so that, say, Texas Flood, I would tune my guitar so that I was playing that in G, which was tuning my guitar down a half step, and swore that it was a discrepancy in a cassette tape player, in a turntable, but that he was not playing an E flat. I said, there's no way. They don't tune down to E flat. I was wrong. He did tune down to E flat, and he recorded in E flat. And that's why when my guitar was in standard tuning, everything would be like in F sharp and G sharp and B instead of C. And when I finally admitted it was when we got YouTube. I admitted it before that, but the proof was YouTube, and you watched him play, and he's obviously in G. He's on the 3rd fret, but he's playing, it's F sharp. And if your guitar was tuned in standard, you had to play a half step down in F sharp. And I've run into this a lot with Linda, where we were learning songs that the guitars were tuned in E flat, and she would be like, this doesn't sound right. And I go, yeah, because you're a half step off. You've got to drop down a half step. And so I would go look for versions of the song of people doing them on YouTube, or somebody else recorded it that did it in standard tuning. And she would learn to play to that. And then finally, at some point, I just says, just tune down a half step. And then don't forget to tune your guitar back up for something else, or when we go out to play. Can't you put a loop on your horn to attach the strap to temporarily to test it out before you drill a hole? I guess I could, but I don't. Drilling a hole is not that big of a deal to me. I asked Leon Redbone what he tuned to. With that guy's voice, streaks on the china, never mattered before, who cares? Whatever happened to Leon Redbone? He was big for a while. He had some hits. But anyway, so tuning down a half step. So what have you guys all been up to? I know what Dave Byron's been up to. He's been into a new venture. Met him at Guitars Unlimited in the 70s. Wow, that is cool. I always wish that would happen, that I'd be like in Guitar Center in Mayfield or Cleveland, and some, famous guy would come in, and it never happened. Never happened. I never get that lucky. I keep waiting to, just run into some of these YouTubers. And that never happens either. That never happens. But Dave, he's been doing a venture with he's doing guitar. What do you call him, Dave? It's like a guitar show. And you're promoting it and funding it yourself and everything. We got lucky this month, and a bunch of jobs, ticket sales. Wow. a bunch of jobs just fell in our lap, and it worked out. It worked out for the good, and I hope that luck continues. But, and Jerry even said something about the other guitar, new guitar player. Jerry even said something about having a guitars on stage that are tuned to open G or open D. And I'm like, you can if you want, but I'm not gonna, because there's no need for me to do it. And that's just more work, more gear on a gig than what we get paid for to have to worry about. And we're not using it that much. If you want to keep a guitar on stage that's tuned in an open tuning, so it's easier for you to play slide, that by all means, go ahead, do that, but I'm leaving all the slide playing to him at this point. I won't be doing any. He's way better at it. And, I'm content to play rhythm. And I still feel like I'm playing too much lead at this point. And the camera position last night was not conducive to hearing Jerry. The camera was over by me and it was picking up my amp. I should have had it out front more, which would have been hard to do because of where we were at and all the people and stuff and the party going on. It would have been hard to have the camera just right out in front of us, backed up from the stage. But I could put the camera over by Jerry and shoot it from that side, and you'll hear him a lot better. He's got a totally, totally different tone than I do. I'm a real straight, dry player, and he has more of a processed, fancier tone than I do. But they mix well, and when you can hear both guitars equally, it sounds really good. Yes, 100% instrumental guitar shows. It's really for people who like that kind of music, plus their early shows. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we played last Saturday, Friday and Saturday last week. We started our gigs at 7:00, 7 to 10, and we're trying to back off the 4-hour nights too. We're trying to just do 3-hour sets. 3 hours is plenty enough. Jerry is the lead guitar player. He's supposed to be doing all the lead, but he's fighting that a little bit. He's like, I don't want to play it all. You're a good lead player. You play some. And I said, well, the point is now I'm the lead singer all the time. And I want to not be as taxed when I'm playing, because when you're singing lead and playing lead, things go wrong. You miss the pedal. You'll miss the note, you'll miss the fret because you're trying to sing, you're trying to get to a place. And if I can just sing the song and kick back and let somebody else do it, that's great. And I love to play lead. I'm going to still play lead, but I want him to carry most of it. And it'll just take a little time. We've only been together a couple months. We had 2 or 3 practices, and then quick practices. And then we went out and did a bunch of gigs. And even though you're not seeing it right off the bat right now, we're playing a ton of new stuff that this band was not doing before. We're playing songs that we did not do before. And that's the other thing. We've got a lot of twin leads, like the Blue Oyster Cult stuff. It's all harmony guitar. And Jerry will play harmony to me while I'm playing lead, just because he can feel it. He can anticipate it. He knows what I'm going to do. Yeah, singing and playing, it takes some work to be able to do that. I mean, I started doing that early. The reason I started playing guitar in the first place was to back my voice. Was to accompany my voice. Dave, thanks. I mean, I don't think we sound fantastic or anything. There are a lot of factors involved. There's the room, the PA, the camera, the mic on the camera, the noise, the mix. If everything was perfect, if everything is the ideal situation, it doesn't sound half bad. I will say that. It doesn't sound half bad. And if I could ever get, I need new camera gear for sure. I've worn this Q4N right out, and it only hold a charge now for 30 minutes. It used to go for 2 hours, so I need to either order another battery for it or just keep it plugged in. But then you got to run power to the camera from someplace, which isn't always an easy thing to do either. So I think some of the mixes from the rehearsals are a little bit better because I can get the camera dead center. You just need to get the bass louder, that's all. But well, I didn't want this to be all just me yakking and gagging. But there you guys are talking, so that's cool. I haven't done many live streams lately. I did one, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. Was it a month? I can't remember how long ago it was. I'd have to check. I don't even remember the topic. Thursday Live. That went on for an hour. I was playing the acoustic guitar. That's what it was. And that's the other thing. I don't ever take the time to set everything up to make the guitar playing sound good in the live stream. My old mixer was so much better than that. And I might even toy around with that a little bit, drag out my old Yamaha mixer. I don't need any, it pops on the output. It goes, makes these noises through the output, but I don't even need that. When you're doing this, you don't have any speakers on. You don't need any output. All you need is the input to the computer, and it's a USB board, so I just go USB. And I'm not even using my mixing board now. I'm using I can't get it over there, but I'm using a USB microphone and just the Logitech webcam. I need a good webcam. Maybe I'll get one for Christmas. If anybody's watching this that would take that hint, honey, a new webcam. Seems they go out of date really quick. But the Q4N, when I got it, Windows 10 recognized it everywhere. Now, for some reason, after Windows has updated itself a bunch of times, it doesn't recognize it as a freaking webcam anymore, even after I updated the firmware. And the other day, I discovered on my brand new laptop, it no longer has the codec to even recognize the file format. So I can't look at the videos in Windows. I have to either use Dell video software. I've downloaded some other ones. What's the name of the one I downloaded? And you've literally got to buy it to get rid of their watermark. So, yeah, Filmora. It's pretty good editing software, Filmora. It's pretty good, but if you don't pay for it, you don't pay them the $100. You can't get rid of the watermark. And it's not like an indiscreet little up in the corner watermark. It's this huge banner across the bottom. They really make it so that you really don't want to use it for YouTube videos if you've got that watermark in there. Exactly, DB. If it's Microsoft, man. And some of the new Zoom cameras, like Mitch Heyman, he got a new Zoom camera that looks wonderful when he does his video and stuff. And apparently he's not having any trouble with Windows 10 recognizing it. Of course, maybe he's not using Windows 10. I know he uses OBS and Streamlabs and DaVinci and Michelangelo and Van Gogh and all that stuff. My ultimate editing software would probably be called Picasso. Everything would look like a Mr. Potato Head with the parts all over the place, in the wrong place. But now I'm going to go about 5 more minutes here. Thanks everybody for showing up. I am going to be activating my Patreon again. And there's going to be full live rehearsals of the band on Patreon. Not that anybody would be interested, but there'll be other content there too that you know that you can't put on YouTube because you get copyrighted. You get copy claim. And almost everything I do now, any cover has a copy claim. And about the only thing, and I'll tell you why you are seeing so many live streams now. People doing live streams is because live streams don't get copy claims unless somebody does something stupid in the live stream, like plays a song that they pick up for copyright. But that's why all these monetized guys, they're all doing live streams out the wazoo. It's almost to the point where it's ridiculous. You know, there are some people that just live stream constantly. And it's cool for the people that they hang out with because they can all get together and chit chat. But you know what? They can do that offline too. Yeah, the Q8 and he has trouble using his live stream. That's freaking Windows, man. That is Windows. And the Q4N did it, and I updated the firmware, and it came back, and then it did it again. And this one used to work as a webcam too, and it's HD, and updated the firmware on that. It worked for a while. Then after Windows updated a couple more times and changed their stuff around, doesn't recognize it, can't find it. And what's funny is my Chromebook finds and recognizes both of them. So I could live stream from the Chromebook using a better camera. As a matter of fact, that's a good idea. I wonder what the Chromebook would sound like with a USB mic or the mixer plugged into it. Never thought of that. Thanks for thinking of that, guys. Brilliant of you. Wonder what this COPPA stuff will affect YouTube. I talked about that at the beginning of the video, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. It's not going to affect people like me or like a lot of people. All you have to do is go to YouTube Studio, go to settings, advanced settings, set your whole channel, not for kids or for kids. If you make videos for kids, you are no longer going to be able to make the money that you used to make because they're not allowed to target. YouTube got busted targeting advertising at kids under 13. And there were some news stories out a few months ago about these little kids channels that have little kids on them that unbox new toys. There were several of them that made $20 million in 2018 on their channels. You know what? After you've made $20 million for a couple of years and YouTube takes your ad revenue away from you, boo-hoo. Boo effing hoo. All right? And you know, some 6-year-old kid unboxing a toy and going nuts over it on a video on YouTube for other little kids is not the one behind producing that video. It's somebody else. It's a parent or a team, whatever. And I watched this news report and they interviewed these people there were a couple of them that made over $20 million a year in ad revenue. I'm not crying for you. I'm not crying for you. It is what it is, man. And people like us, we don't make videos for kids. So all we have to do is say we don't make videos for kids and we should be okay. And we just have to deal with the other garbage, the copyright claims, the sharing ads and blah, 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 blah. You're not making anything anyway. So what's the difference? If you're not just on here doing it for you or yourself or doing it for fun, everybody would like to get to that point, but not everybody does. And right, Disney is the big one shouldering the brunt of that blame right now. And I don't care. Tough. After you've made 20 million bucks, I got no sympathy for you if they take your ad revenue away. You got $20 million. If you had to pay half of that in taxes, I still don't feel sorry for you. No. Man, I'm struggling to make $100 a night playing live. I got to drive to the gig. I got to unload. I got to load. I got to play. I got to practice. I got to learn. I got to buy strings. I got to buy guitars. I got to buy equipment. $20 million on boxing toys. I have no sympathy for millionaires. None. Shit, I don't have any sympathy, DB, for 1,000 heirs. 100 heirs. I mean, I get tens of views. Tens of them. My views are in the tens. It is what it is. That just the COPPA thing, it's going to affect the channels that target their ad revenue and target their content towards young children under 13. And I mean real young. We're talking about kids that are playing with little tykes and play school and stuff like that. And they took advantage of it. They got away with it for a couple of years. And like DB said, that is no new freaking law. That law has been on the books a long time. And, it caught up to them. YouTube got busted. They had to pay a big settlement. It was billions. It's hard to imagine. It's really hard to imagine. I know there are people like PewDiePie and some of these guys, they're lying about what they make because they don't want you to know. Can you imagine what the crazy Russian hacker makes? Can you imagine what the crazy Russian hacker makes off of YouTube videos? Because there's nothing copyrighted on his content. He's just demoing products. And they're probably sending him this stuff. So they're not going to turn around and file a claim on him for using their product. They're sending it to him. And some of these other guitar channels, these bigger guitar channels, that get guitars and equipment stuff sent to them, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo-hoo. Hey, Robert, I'm going to guess Lougheed. And that's just a guess at how to say your name. But, hey, thanks for the sub. I subbed you back. I watched some of your stuff. I really enjoyed it. This guy, he writes his own music. He plays the acoustic guitar, and he posts them on YouTube, you guys. He's a cool dude. Yeah, 500,000 videos a minute, or minutes worth of video uploaded, or hours worth of video uploaded a minute. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And, to think we center around a group, and everybody has different stuff that they watch, because I watch David Pakman, I watch Dusty Smith, I watch Gordon Ramsay, You know, I watch stuff that a lot of you guys probably don't watch. I watch Sean Evans. I watch a channel that is geared strictly about psychology. I got caught up in the non sequitur show for a while till they imploded. Non sequitur show were these two guys, Steve McRae and this other clown that all of a sudden one of them found out was stealing the money from the ad revenue or whatever from the channel and wasn't splitting it the way it was supposed to be split. Kyle, the other guy's name was Kyle, and that Kyle was ripping these guys off. And these guys were live every night, and they had thousands and thousands of views and thousands of subscribers. And they were making money, and they were talking about the money they were making. Big internal fight, it all imploded, and it's gone. They're all gone. And like I said, boo-hoo-hoo. No, Tim, that I think that's speculation, and I don't believe that. They're not going to drop channels out of the blue. Now, they are going to restrict. Things could go away if they're deemed hate speech, racist, violent, inappropriate. You've got those things to consider, and they might crack down on some of that stuff. But the average guy that just wants to make a YouTube channel and upload videos to YouTube, I don't think there's any plans to restricting that. And you know, if that happens to me, then I quit altogether. If that happens to me, I'll just quit an online presence altogether. I used to be a huge Facebooker, and not anymore. I'll tell you what you see me post on Facebook are videos of funny cats and dogs. And once in a while, I'll share, if I run across a really good music video that I really like, that I want some of my friends to see, I'll share it to Facebook. But other than that, I'm not over there on Facebook flapping my yap. There's no good in it, you know? And I'm not saying there aren't people that have a Facebook presence that don't have a good Facebook presence. There are, but they're few and far between. And, you know, you end up with a bunch of friends that really aren't your friends. And if you narrow it down to the people that are your friends, then, you know, you've narrowed that scope down. So, yeah, if they drop, DB is exactly right. If they drop all the little channels, who the hell are they going to advertise to? And you have to have a channel to comment. You have to have an account to be able to comment. And that's the other thing. Anything that is geared towards children, if you claim it's for children, you can't comment anymore. No comments on them and no ads. So, but like I said, boo-hoo, some of these guys made millions. I'm not crying for them. I'm not even crying for the bigger guitar channels, you know. I'm crying for the guy that's got 800 subs and is trying to get over that hump of getting 1,000. Yeah, YouTube's a hobby, you know. Well, you're a retired professor. I'm just a bum. Or so I've been told. You know? And I actually want my wife to start her own channel because I think the thing that I have in mind for the channel, she could do real well. But yeah, her interest isn't there. And without that, then You got nothing. But anyway, YouTube, it is what it is. It's different things to different people. There are things that I enjoy watching. There's some of the late night stuff that I like to watch. DB knows what I'm talking about. The guys that are over in the corners of YouTube that you won't normally find unless you know about them. Dave, let me tell you something, Dave. When I go on some of these channels, the insincerity of their presence is so nauseating that, and it spoils their content. They could actually have something that I want to watch or hear about, but they're so nauseating with their hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and they'll spend all this time calling out all the people in the side of the chat. I know I'm in the freaking chat, okay? I see who's in the chat. The chat's rolling by. I see the people that are there. I don't need acknowledged. And that, to me, it's ass kissing. And I used to do that. I thought that's how YouTube worked. It is how it works. I don't know. It didn't work for me. And exactly, Dave, I'm not going to beg for it. You're going to watch or you're not going to watch. You're going to like my content or you're not going to like my content. And tiny redheads playing basses. I don't know any redheads. I don't know any redheads. I know some tiny bass players. But Tim, there is stuff like that I've watched, and there's thanks DB. Did you do that? Or Alex 2084, did you do that? I mean, the seven thumbs down. That's nothing. That ain't nothing. They've become aware that I'm here, that I'm live. But I've watched videos of these people that live in vans, and they go around traveling in vans, and they're living out of their van and making YouTube videos. And some of them got like thousands and thousands of subscribers. Oh, Axis 2084. Yeah, I still get that. I still get that. Right, DB. As a matter of fact, if I feel that I have to dislike something, I just leave and then usually don't go back. And it's usually because they've nauseated me. That I don't feel they're sincere. But anyway, well, it's easy to upset people. They get offended quickly, and it is what it is. It is what it is. But we'll just all keep on hanging and doing what we do and posting our videos. My main thing is I'm going to put videos up of the band. There's a new craze going out of attacking these people on Instagram that they say are speeding up their videos. So I did a sweep picking video of like 2 or 3 sweeps. I slowed it down to half speed, normal speed, 1.5 speed, and 2 times speed. And it's like a 10-second, 15-second video. And I'm debating whether to upload it or not because it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to see a sweep in double speed, you know, and they go because when you double the speed in Movie Maker, it also doubles the speed of the sound, so it goes way up in pitch. It is kind of funny. Exactly, DB. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You know, that's the way to handle it. We all learn. Well, Trogley's got a new video. See, that's another one. I used to watch Trogley all the time on his original show, and then he revealed himself, and I can't hardly watch it anymore. Axis, I'm right with you on that. I do not own any expensive guitars, none. Everything I play is secondhand used, or you know, I've got 2 American-made Fenders. That's my top of my line. Everything else is either Japanese or made in Mexico. And I've got 1 Les Paul left. I've only got 1, and it's an Epiphone, and it was made in China. So, you know, and I don't need 100 guitars. If I can't do it on 1 or 2 or 3, then I'm just not going to be doing it. I'm not going to be able to do it. Won't be doing it. So that's what it is. Yeah, you know, I've got a video on my channel called "Your Les Paul Worship is Pretentious and Obnoxious," and boy, did that ruffle some feathers. And it's like, yeah, I'm sick of hearing you talk about it, and I won't watch you talk about it anymore. And some of these guys are out there spending thousands of dollars on guitars to make videos because they think their YouTube channel is going to take off because they bought all these guitars. And it could happen. It could absolutely happen, but chances are it's not. The guys that get the views and the subscribers are good at what they do. And, you know, and even some of them are on the decline. You know, there's other ones. I lose interest in channels really fast because they start off good, and then once they grow to a certain point, then something happens to them. Something happens to them, and they become an authority on what good content on YouTube is. And once that happens, and they get jaded, then I lose my respect. You know, opinions are great, but let's deal in fact, at least some of the time. Yeah, Dave, I've been saying that for years. You know, that was the premise of my whole channel starting out. That was the premise of my whole channel. And people hated me for it. People absolutely hated me for it. Guys that didn't even play guitar. Yeah. Who needs a Ferrari when you got a Stingray? You know, I imagine the Stingray, even if it's an older one, is probably easier to get parts for than a Ferrari. Unless you've got money, you can't have stuff like that. Oh my God. Axis. The Glary guitars and those stupid Firefly guitars. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break. And every one of those guys did reviews on those guitars. Yeah, you know what? I could spend $69 on a Glary Strat and review it, and I'm not gonna. And I'm not saying it's not a good guitar. What I'm saying is, you know, they're picking the low-hanging fruit. They're going after the low-hanging fruit. And once they've reviewed all the Paul Reed Smiths that have gotten sent to them and all the other guitars that have gotten sent to them, they have to go for that. And it's just like, wow, really? There's a guy that hangs around that comes on the channel now and then that is from Long Island called Adam's Cheap Guitars. And he's got a couple hundred of them. And he fixes them up and he works on them. But he's not like these other guys when you watch his videos. You know, he doesn't preach to you. He just shows you what he did. He doesn't even really give you an opinion on it. He just shows you what he did and where he got it and how he got it and why he got it. And he'll come out right out and tell you, I bought it because it was cheap. You know, I'd rather have 20 cheap guitars than 2 really expensive ones. And I can respect that. Some people are like that. I agree with that access to a point that, you know, some of these guitars, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a playable guitar. But all right, that being said, we've been here an hour, you guys. E-flat tuning, E-flat demolished. We're going to play an E-flat for a while, see how that goes. I'm going to step up my strings to 10s. And I'll be posting more videos. Thanks, everybody, for stopping in. Enjoy what's left of your Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. Boo. And with that, I'll say over and out.